Hey, you listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM 89.0 MPR and ArrowFM. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey.
We have so much to get through this week that we're dropping like an entire show. We're rushing another one, talking about barely anything on Raw and SmackDown. We're going to try and cram it all together and get it done. But to make way, we're just going to get the 24/7 championship, and we're going to talk about that straight up front and first. Because Drake's no longer champion.
No, but man, it's been so entertaining. And I had a thought while I was watching the segments on Raw. Could you imagine the stuff that could have been done if Santino was available?
Yeah, there's quite a few awesome comedy guys who could have done some good stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, this has just been so entertaining and stuff, and I'm glad that Drake has gotten the chance to just show that he has a personality, that he's more than just, I'm the general manager for the Forgotten Brand.
Yeah, and it feels like, at least with the actions on 205 Live, that he may be not necessarily transitioning out of the general manager role, but transitioning into the ring.
It's possible. I do know that he snapped and absolutely started trying to pummel on Mike Kanellis when he went just a little too far with his comments. Especially referring to his wife.
Yeah. Probably don't do that.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see it as well, since the general manager concept is kind of falling away everywhere. And it wouldn't be too insane. But that's all we get to talk about Drew. He's lost the title. It's with R-Truth again. Let's see what happens next week. Because we had some extra matches shoved on Extreme Rules, so we got to find time for everybody today. And one of those matches involved Shinsuke Nakamura picking up the Intercontinental Championship.
I was shocked that the match was on the pre-show. I figured that the only match would end up being the Cruiserweight, which did end up on it.
Of course.
And then I was surprised that they changed the title, but now that I think about it, it's actually a brilliant move. And honestly, Shinsuke could probably use a refresh anyway, so...
Yeah, I think it's a move for both. Shinsuke obviously winning the title, getting to do some stuff now, can get himself into some feuds for that. And Finn Balor can go and get himself attacked by Bray Wyatt.
And get written off of television for a while, and then coming back and being part of the club.
Yeah, there's definitely options with Finn Balor now. It was a great first target for Bray Wyatt, who showed up on Raw this week, to just stake his claim, take somebody out. And if Finn needed time off, which it sounds like Finn did, then all good. Go take your time off. Next up, it is the Cruiserweight Championship match. Drew Gulak successfully defending against Tony Nese.
It was a good match. It was nowhere near as good as the one Gulak had with Riddle the night before, but still a good match.
I saw that coming. I was going to segue over there myself, and then you're just like, no, I'm going there. Would you like to talk about the Evolve match involving Drew Gulak?
I'm really impressed with Matt Riddle and his abilities. I still have my concerns with him wrestling without shoes on. Because that kind of had Rusev issues.
Yeah.
With that. But hey, if he doesn't get hurt, more power to him. But it was a really good match. It was a technical match. And in the end, Riddle won and then Gulak and Riddle ended their match with a handshake because they were former stablemates.
Yeah, it worked out nice and well and wrapped it all nicely up. And yeah, I think it was able to highlight two of the guys. You know, I know Drew is the Cruiserweight champion and he's having all these awesome Cruiserweight matches, but putting him against someone like Matt Riddle, who, from how I understand it, he has a lot of chemistry with previously, and able to just pick it up and run with it. And Matt Riddle, who, I guess the same people who are watching Evolve are watching NXT, usually, and have probably seen him. I don't know how much Evolve got into the general casual type crowd who have a network subscription. But by the sounds of it, it was one of the most watched shows on the network, so hey.
So WWE, take that as a sign. We want additional content.
I've always heard, you know, putting on the Evolve numbered shows and the Progress numbered shows, and putting those both on the network, both as the back history and as the new live shows.
And there's me that wants Chikara.
They have a deal with Chikara, though?
The person that founded the company works as a trainer in NXT right now.
Okay. So there might be something going then.
Yeah.
But Evolve and Progress, WWE have fairly tight relationships with. So Evolve constantly getting some NXT talent to go down for their numbered shows. Progress constantly has NXT UK talent on their numbered shows. They share a champion right now. It makes sense to air those shows on the network, put a back catalogue on, and just have even more options available to the consumer. But while we're here, do you want to talk about the rest of this Evolve card? Because you sat down and watched the entire thing.
Yeah, it was a really fun event. I found a few people that I have my eye on in the future. And then there was the fact that I never, ever, ever thought that Eddie Kingston would ever appear on a WWE programming or something sponsored by WWE.
He made it.
Yep. And they gave him a live mic. That had me concerned. But I really enjoyed... I got to learn about Josh Briggs, who I really liked in the match I saw. I really liked the match between the no disqualification match between the two girls, Brandy Lauren and Shotzi Blackheart. Thought that was really entertaining. Baba Tunde was impressive. And then there was a 21-year-old champion that really impressed me, named Austin Theory.
You were quite complimentary in the messages as the matches were happening and stuff about this Austin boy.
Yeah, I saw he's got the charisma, he's got the ability in the ring. Apparently, he's only been doing this for about 3 years. I could honestly see in a few years a WrestleMania main event between Velveteen Dream and Austin Theory, and it not be out of place.
This is high praise for Mr. Theory here.
And also, Adam Cole and Akira Tozawa had a really good match too for the NXT title.
Yeah, I think overall this Evolve card was good, and it got people to look at something that isn't WWE, NXT, blah, 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 and just give them Evolve, especially if people hadn't previously seen that sort of indie type stuff. And as you said, it was a good mix of the NXT guys that you know, Riddle, Gulak, Cole, Tozawa type guys, then some people like Babatunde or Sean Maluta who have been seen once or twice on WWE, and then a lot of the Evolve roster, as well as having, obviously that big winner-takes-all match for the two championships as well to hopefully merge those two together. was a good card.
Yeah, it makes more sense, especially if Evolve is going to go onto the network. It would be extremely confusing to have a championship called the WWN title when you're on the network that's on the WWE network.
Yeah,
So,
the WWEN, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it does make sense to merge those two together if they're not necessary. And it did appear that the WWN title did disappear after the match was over, because it was no longer in the ring when they had the aftermath match stuff, that when they introduced that Josh Briggs wanted a shot at the title.
Okay.
Because they did one of those Sabu lights out things.
Classic.
Which they also did earlier in the show with Paul Heyman.
I feel like they really wanted this show to go well, and they threw everything they had at this show. But now feels like the right time, I guess. It's pretty early in the show, and we've barely talked about Extreme Rules. But let's go to our song. It is Austin Theory's song, because Josh was just so pleased by his performance. And it's not often we play a non-WWE theme, so appreciate it. And you're back with the Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, NPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh, and we still have the entirety of Extreme Rules to go, other than the pre-show matches, so we better strap this thing into 16th gear and get going. The Undertaker and Roman Reigns, as expected, wins the no-holds-barred tag team match.
It was a really, really good match. I was really impressed with it. I thought if it was going to be a good match, it would be because Roman did most of the lifting. But surprisingly, The Undertaker held his own.
Yeah, I guess after the match at Super Showdown, everybody was looking down at The Undertaker and Goldberg, you know, like, nah, it's just not gonna work. And I think The Undertaker came back for this match more determined than ever. And showed, no, I can still go, as long as it's all in the right situation and all the stars align, I can still be a part of a great match. And it was good to see. Much like I would already have preferred the Undertaker to have retired like 5 years ago, but if we're going to be seeing him, I want to see the Undertaker still putting on matches and not what we saw at Super Showdown. Even if it means that Drew McIntyre had to lose the match. Not cool. What else do we got here? Aleister Black. He defeated Cesaro. I'm pretty sure we'd both predicted that as well.
Yeah. And we also predicted that it could steal the show, and it dang near did. It was an extremely good match between the two.
Yeah, they're two of the best talents I got. So obviously, if you slap them in a ring together, the working together you couldn't predict, but it came out pretty damn well. So I look forward to it. They had a rematch over on SmackDown as well, with Aleister Black winning again. So I don't know how much longer it will continue. Just because, you know, Aleister Black has won twice now. Don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I wouldn't be against a third match, but Aleister Black has to win again, so hey. Then we have a last man standing match between Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley.
This was the match of the night.
They really turned this feud around.
Yeah. They tore down the entire arena. They were all over the place. They were even in the concession stand, which made me a happy boy.
That's why it stole the show for you, didn't it? You saw the concession stand and you're like, match of the night, let's go.
I did think the ending was a little convoluted, but overall, it was fine because it was just a great match.
Even if we just
they went to war and we got to enjoy it.
Even if we just look like a month ago, and we look at, the last match these two had, nobody really cared. Then there was some arm wrestling matches and some tug of wars. And then you click your fingers and they're smashing each other through light boards and putting on a really good, 18-minute last man standing match. And you're like, that's the difference it can make. Actually caring about it and booking it correctly immediately fixed that feud.
Yeah, caring about it helped. And just letting them be the BAs they are really helped with the match, too.
Yeah.
I think had they not had that stipulation, we would probably have been bored with the match.
Yeah.
But it was that stipulation that's probably saved it and turned it into the match of the night.
That is a fair comment. One of the matches that was not the match of the night was Kevin Owens defeating Dolph Ziggler in a total of 17 seconds.
And Kevin Owens beat Dolph Ziggler again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is. It fed into the whole stuff that he's doing with Shane.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really all it was. And we can't take Dolph Ziggler seriously. And apparently we're supposed to take him seriously against The Miz.
Only in specific scenarios is Dolph Ziggler serious, okay? And you need to know these. You need to know every single one of them. He can get squashed by Kevin in 17 seconds, but he's a credible threat against The Miz, okay? Figure this out. Now, that is all the non-championships. We still have all the championships. Let's start with the United States Championship, because I got a feeling you got some feelings on this match.
Yeah, that's why I suggested the title of the show being the Sad Boys, because at some point during the show, I'm going to be sad, at some point you're going to be sad, at some point we're both going to be sad. It's just sad. This was a great match, too. And this whole feud has been about building Ricochet, bringing the character out of him. And while I'm fine, I've accepted him losing because it's part of the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just glad that they didn't just throw Ricochet aside and have AJ move on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
When they had him on Raw the next night, with them still brawling and stuff, and Ricochet then coming out during their AJ's match and getting involved in it. But honestly, the biggest thing for the weekend for Ricochet for me was when he had his entrance, Brock Lesnar decided to pay attention to him.
Okay.
To watch his entrance as he came down to the ring. Which we'll have to talk about later anyway.
Of course. Spoilers, Brock Lesnar was in town.
Yeah. But yeah, that to me signified that Ricochet's on the cusp of being a really big deal when somebody on that level pays attention to him.
Yeah. He really has the sort of charisma that makes you want to watch and see what he's going to do next. And honestly, if him continuing the feud with AJ Styles is what's going to happen in the meantime, good, because the matches have been nothing but great. Whether it's Ricochet against Styles, Gallows, Anderson, any of them, they've pulled off great matches. But for now, the club will be holding the United States Championship. And the people holding the Raw Tag Team Championship is still the Revival.
Yeah, this was a good tag team match again. But I will say this. As good as this match was, AEW's tag team division completely annihilates WWE's. Based solely on what I saw on their show. And that's because it's probably because they have they are dedicated to showcasing it.
You got a little bit of time. Was there a specific AEW tag match that took your eye?
I don't have it listed up here.
I presume just all of them, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, A Boy and His Dinosaur are amazing.
Yeah,
Angelico
that
and
was
Jack
the one.
Evans are amazing.
That would have been the triple threat match was really, really good. And I fell absolutely in love with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus.
Yeah. They're going to be stars in AEW in the future.
Yep.
But then if you even look outside that, I guess Dark Order, Lucha Brothers, SoCal Uncensored, Young Bucks, Brotherhood, they just got so many tag teams that are all amazing at what they do, I guess is the point to mention. As the Usos did fail to capture the titles against the Revival, we did have, instead, new SmackDown Tag Team Champions.
Just not the ones we wanted, which is why we're both sad boys.
Sad boys again.
But yeah, I was absolutely shocked that the New Day won. And then that put me in a place of fear for Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, I'm super disappointed that Heavy Machinery weren't able to pick up the win here. I think it would have been good. I don't know if the New Day winning was purely just for the 3 titles moment, or whether they are actually going to hold it, continue on into like meaningful feuds. Because the New Day having it kind of stops the Heavy Machinery picking it up unless they're going to do face.
Yeah, I kind of find that hard to believe on that end. So yeah, I do think Heavy Machinery's getting spun out of this feud. Who knows what Daniel Bryan's doing? Most likely something with Shinsuke. But I don't know who's the New Day's next opponent would be for the tag team titles. That's kind of one of those another problem with the tag team division that WWE has.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not really solidified in terms of who can come out and do stuff. And the problem is having the New Day as champs, everyone I can think of to face them are all faces. Like Heavy Machinery or maybe even Street Profits. So I don't quite know how it's all going to work together.
The Street Profits have been, anytime they've been on camera, has been money.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely taking full advantage of this exposure.
Yeah. And that is the tag team matches. Now let's do the WWE Championship match. Kofi Kingston, you talked about being scared of him losing his title, or what was going to happen after the match. But he won. He was safe.
Yeah. He retained his title in a good match against Joe, and then I thought he was waiting around in the ring too long or something while he was celebrating. And I'm like, oh god, here it comes, and then they go to commercial.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh god, thank goodness.
And then they cut back from commercial, hard cut, because Brock Lesnar's come out. They would really trick everybody if they did that. If they cut to commercial for like 30 seconds and then hard cut back. Take my ideas, WWE. Go use them. But also earlier in the night, Bayley successfully defends her SmackDown Women's Championship against both Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss.
And Bayley's title run is already infinitely better than what it was, the Raw one she had a couple years ago.
Not hard.
Yeah, considering she only had 2 title defenses in the first one.
And then we've got to talk about this last chance winner takes all Extreme Rules mixed tag team match for the Universal Championship and the Raw Women's Championship, with Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch successfully defending their titles against Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans.
This match was almost every bit as good as the Last Man Standing match. It was extremely good.
Nice pun.
Yes. It was unintended, actually. But yes, it worked. Corbin and Evans both brought it. Rollins and Lynch were, well, them.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest moment in the match had to be when Corbin landed the end of days on Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
Because that broke so many barriers right there.
I saw so many people popping on Twitter for that.
But yeah, and then Seth absolutely lost his mind.
Did he have a mind to start with?
It might be in Becky's purse.
There's a lot of other things in there. But not only did he lose his mind, he also lost his title.
Yeah, as Brock Lesnar then proceeded to cash in his briefcase as Paul Heyman repeatedly promised would happen. And he is now our Universal Champion again. So we've reverted time 4 months.
No comment. But we don't have time on this week's show because we are running out of time to talk about the future for Lesnar and for Becky in terms of their championship challenges and SummerSlam. So we'll talk about SummerSlam and the matches that are set up for that next week. But for this week, I believe we're actually out of time. We had so much to fit in, but it's been great talking to you.
Bye, B.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/WrestlingHourRadio, Twitter page, twitter.com/WrestlingHourRadio, and we'll see you next week.